o'clock. It is time for Say It Right Thursdays with Write On Consulting Agency. Y'all, my U's are still backwards. I thought I was doing it right. My board, I'm writing that backwards so you guys can see it. I am a one-woman show, so I am doing it all, and it's easier for me to just write it backwards than to and then I can't see you guys comment when you come on. So that is why that looks like that. And my U's are still backwards. I'm going to work on that for next time. Well, it is 9 o'clock on the dot, so it is time to get started with Say It Right Thursdays with Write On Consulting Agency, LLC. I am Adrienne Harris, owner and founder of Write On Consulting Agency, and this is our regular live video that we do on Thursday nights at 9. Guys, I really am considering changing the times. 9 o'clock it's late for me. One thing I'm noticing too with you guys will go back and watch the videos, which is awesome. So I may not need to do live videos. So please let me know what you guys prefer. If you would, please let me know what's a good time. 9 o'clock may not be the best time for the ones of you who are watching on a consistent basis. And I do want to be mindful of you all and what you guys need, because I am able to be a little bit more flexible on my end. So please let me know in the comment section. Shoot me a message just as to what's a good time for you guys. If you are consistently watching these videos and you are not up at 9 o'clock, you are not hurting my feelings. If you are up at 7, if you are up at 6 or another day, another time, guys, let me know. And so I can go live then if that would benefit you all. I am here for you guys. So whatever you guys need is all right by me. But I'm noticing that people aren't necessarily watching live, but they are going back and watching the video. So that is awesome. And guys, anytime you like, you share, you love, you comment any of the posts that you guys are seeing from Write On Consulting Agency, your name is going into our drawing for this quarter to win an opportunity to win a $25 gift card. And here are the names so far. I am missing a few from last week, guys. I've been super busy the last couple of weeks just with business. Some new things are going on at work, life just in general. So I have had a busy last 2 weeks. So if you posted or liked or shared anything from last week, your name is not in the bucket, but that is okay. I am going to get to it. I know exactly where I left off in terms of names. So I am going to go back and get you guys in so that you can increase your chances of winning the $25 gift card. So last week we talked about noun phrases. The first week that we were on live, we talked about nouns. And hold on, guys, my light is bothering me. Y'all, I had it perfect and then I moved it. Oh, boo me. Okay, I like that better. All right, so the week before last, we talked about noun phrases, and so I did get a request from someone to do pronouns. So we are going to talk about tonight pronouns as determiners. Next week, we'll actually get into personal pronouns, because I really am trying to keep these videos down to about 10 to 15 minutes from start to finish. So last week, we talked about noun phrases, and we discussed that noun phrases are just that, phrases. We added one change to our typical definition to what a phrase is, which for most of us is defined as a group of words that are put together as one unit. They represent one thing. But we added last week that a noun phrase can also just be one word. So we are looking at this week determiners, because we discussed last week that noun phrases are typically marked by a determiner, and sometimes those determiners can be pronouns. So what we know from our basic English grammar classes, I'm sure from times past, is that pronouns are words. They're among some of the most common words that we use, and as you can see on our board, pronouns can be substitutes for nouns. So if you think about to your grammar days, pronouns are words like he, she, it. When you're talking about determiners, you may see words such as some. You may see a word like one. Those are examples of pronouns as determiners. Pronouns have there are different kinds of pronouns. You have your reflexive pronouns, you have your demonstrative pronouns, and you also have, you have your personal pronouns. And your personal pronouns are probably going to be the easiest, and they are the most common kind of pronouns that we use in the English language. So, as it relates to noun phrases, the same holds true as to what a pronoun is. Pronouns are substitute for the nouns that we have in our sentences. However, one thing that we can add to pronouns is that they help us determine where our subject ends and our predicates begin. So if you're trying to determine exactly what part of your sentence is a subject and then what part of your sentence is a verb, let's say they're asking you on a standardized test, or your teacher is asking you on a test, hey, where's your pronoun? Identify the pronoun in this sentence. Identify the verb in this sentence. If you can replace the beginning or your parts in your sentences with a pronoun that makes sense, and we'll get into next week what makes sense means. When you're talking about pronouns, you have to deal with gender. You also have to deal with case, and those are some things we'll get into on next week. But if you can replace that noun with a pronoun, let's say a personal pronoun, she, and it still fits and it makes sense, that part of your sentence that you can replace with the pronoun, that part you can go ahead and say, hey, this is my subject. And then you should see your verb soon after that particular pronoun that I would use brackets, bracket off that part that you could substitute. Remember, pronouns can be substitutes for our nouns. So if you can block it off or bracket it off and you end up with like he, that part can be he. So let's say the boy went to the store. We would bracket off the boy, and that would be he. And then went to the store, we see our verb immediately after. I hope that's making sense. I did write on my board because I did want to focus on tonight pronouns as determiners. So we will get more into just pronouns in general on next week so that you guys can have them. And then we'll probably go into the different kinds of pronouns. I'm going to start with personal pronouns on next week, again, because those are the most common ones that we use. Hi, LaDonna. Hi, Fun Show. I hope you guys are doing well on tonight. So when you're talking about a pronoun as a determiner, you have two classes or two classifications for pronouns used as determiners. Remember, we learned on last week that determiners are words that signal or they mark that a phrase or a noun or a pronoun or a verb, depending on what kind of phrase you have, is coming up next. So when you're talking about pronouns and determiners used as pronouns as it relates to a noun phrase, your pronoun determiners are going to say, hey, a noun is coming up after this word. It's going to signal or it's going to mark that a particular noun is coming up. So the examples on the board, when you see before a noun, if the sentence reads, I would like some bread with that, and y'all remember I am writing backwards on this board so you guys can see it. So I would like some bread with that. Some is actually a pronoun in this sentence that's coming before what? Our noun, which is bread. So anytime you see a determiner or a pronoun, some is a pronoun, it's not probably one of the ones we're most familiar with. When I say most familiar with, those that we can readily call out are typically our personal pronouns, he, she, it, we, us, they. Those are pronouns we typically can just rattle off. But then you get into some determiners or some pronouns that act as determiners, that's a better way of saying it, such as some. And you may be like, hey, that's not a pronoun, but we'll get into these kinds of pronouns over the next couple of weeks. So again, when you see a pronoun before a noun, this is an example of a pronoun acting as a determiner. So some bread. And then you have a second case, and I know y'all can't see that verb too clearly. I would like, that's just the end of would, and then like some. So then some is it ends our sentence, and it's actually acting as a noun in this particular sentence because there's no noun that follows. We could put some water and then it would function as it would here, or we could say again some bread and then it would turn into before a noun. But you have determiners when pronouns are used as determiners where there is no noun that follows, and that's okay. We could say, hey, I would like some. Well, some what? Typically, if somebody offers you something, it's going to be more to this if you're having a conversation. Hey, would you like some tea? Sure, I would like some. And then they kind of leave it at that, if that makes sense. So this is where you would see something written like this, or even if you're talking, that's the case where you would reply back in this connotation here that's on the board. I would like some. The person has asked you a question, or maybe they've offered you something, and you're like, yeah, I would like some, and you leave it at that. This particular some is acting as a noun. It's still a determiner, but it's acting in the place of a noun. Again, it's a pronoun. So all of this kind of goes together. In this case, we just see that there's no direct noun listed after our pronoun. So I would even say, hey guys, that might be a question on the standardized test that may trip some kids up. Well, where's the noun? Name the nouns in this sentence where you're looking for a noun because you're not too sure that some is a noun, because typically you don't see it as a noun, or sometimes you don't see it as a noun. When we're looking for nouns, we're looking for what? Most of us are looking for people, we're looking for places, we're looking for things, not necessarily a word like some. So you can go ahead and say, hey, some is a pronoun, so it is a substitute for a noun. And now we have a better, I think we have a better understanding of how we can use some pronouns or identify nouns and pronouns interchangeably, especially when you're talking about determiners. If you don't see a determiner, or if you don't see a noun that follows a pronoun that's acting as a determiner, that's okay. One, you still have a sentence, and two, you still have a pronoun in use, and we still know that that is a noun because you're replacing. We could put something here. I would like water. Some could be water. I would like bread. It could be a replacement for that if we're looking at it from this stance point, from my first example over here. I would like some bread with that. I would like some bread. If we've asked a question or somebody's in conversation with us about wanting something that they are offering us. I hope that makes sense. Y'all thumbs up, give me some comments, and let me know if that makes sense. If not, I will redo this video. I do not mind. But again, we know that pronouns are words that can substitute for our nouns. We talked about last week that noun phrases are either a word or a group of words that are acting as a unit in a sentence. And what we added to that definition last week was that noun phrases or phrases in general can be just a word. We are typically taught that phrases have to be multiple words, and that's not always true. So that's what we added to our knowledge base, or to our definition from last week. And this week's add-on, something that we may or may not have known, is that we can, pronouns, what they're going to help us do is help us determine two things. One, where our subject ends and where our verb begins. So anytime we can do our little bracket method and put what we think our subject is in brackets, and we can substitute that with a pronoun that's going to match, or that's going to fit. And we'll talk about matching and fitting on next week as it relates to case and gender. And I think it's one more. I see it in the book. I think it's one more: case, gender. I can't remember, y'all. I just looked at it too. But we'll get into the three, because I think it's three. Case, you have to agree, and case, number, and gender. That's right. So we'll get into those three things on next week as we continue our discussion on pronouns. Again, we talked about pronouns as determiners. That's right. Case, number, and gender. That's it. So we talked about pronouns as determiners on this week, and how determiners, they'll either be used before a noun, or they'll show up as the noun itself, which is perfectly okay. So you guys, that's our video for tonight. Again, I'm trying to keep these videos short so that you guys can pull out what you need, get on, get off, go to bed if you need to, chop it down if you need to for your kids, whatever you need to do. So that's about 15 minutes. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please like it, share it, comment. If you have some concerns that you would like me to address as it relates to writing, Okay, 8:30 will be fine. That will work for me. Y'all, this 9 o'clock is getting hard for me. My day on Thursdays are typically over about 6:15, 6:30. So staying up to 9 o'clock, like, whew. I barely made it today. I started to come on a little bit early, but since it's the end of the month, I was like, let me go ahead and finish on tonight and finish this 9 o'clock time frame on this month, and then we can try something new in February, which will be our first one for February. February will be on next week. So I will 8:30. That sounds good for me. If anybody doesn't have any complaints, you guys let me know, and I will come on at 8:30 on next week, and we can go live there. Oh, great. Yes, try the brackets and let me know how it works. I think if we start bracketing it off, guys, I think that will most definitely help our kids identify the parts of a sentence. Great. Let me know how that goes, LaDonna. I'm looking forward to the report to see if it kind of helps them remember. Yay. All right, so I am LaDonna. I'm going to finish or at least move on to personal pronouns on next week. So stay tuned for that. And guys, if you guys don't have any more questions, if you don't have any more comments, I am done with tonight's video. I am Adrienne Harris. I'm Write On Consulting Agency, LLC. And I thank you guys so much for tuning in. I thank you guys for loving the post, liking the post, sharing the post. And remember, every time you like, love, or share, your name is going into our jar for our $25 gift card drawing, and I will see you guys on next week. Don't forget to join us on next week. It will be February, so I plan on changing the time. So we will try the 8:30 and see how that goes on my end and you all's end. And I thank you guys so much for tuning in. I really do enjoy getting on and doing these quick live videos for you all. So I will see you all on next week, as we said, right, in 2018, one word, one sentence, one paragraph at a time. Thank you guys so much. See you on next week. Good night.